Look at it. The Great Pyramid of Giza. For 5,000 years it has stood there, silent, watching us. We are told a story, a very simple, very comfortable story. We are told that Pharaoh Khufu built this mountain of stone as a tomb. We are told that he did it in 20 years, using slaves, ropes, wooden rollers, and copper chisels. Copper chisels. Let's be objective for a second. Let's put aside the textbooks and look at the math. Because mathematics does not lie. Historians might, but numbers don't. The Great Pyramid contains approximately 2.3 million blocks of stone. They weigh anywhere from 2 tons to 80 tons. To build this structure in 20 years, you would need to quarry, transport, lift, and place one massive block every 5 minutes. Think about that. Every 5 minutes. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 20 years, without a single break, without a single mechanical failure, without the wheel, without iron. If you believe that, then I have a bridge to sell you. The official narrative isn't just improbable, it is physically impossible. And deep down, the gatekeepers of Egyptology know it. But they keep repeating the same dogma. Why? Because the alternative is terrifying to them. Because if Khufu didn't build it, then who did? And more importantly, how? Tonight, we are not just looking at old stones. We are looking at a crime scene. A crime scene where the evidence has been tampered with, ignored, and locked away behind iron gates. We are going to dismantle the lies, brick by brick. Let's start with the tools. Go to a hardware store today. Buy a copper chisel. Now, try to cut a block of granite. Not limestone, granite. Granite is an igneous rock with a high quartz content. It is roughly as hard as steel. Copper is a soft metal. If you strike granite with copper, the copper bends. The granite wins. Every single time. Yet, inside the king's chamber, we find granite beams weighing up to 80 tons, cut with laser-like precision. We see drill holes that penetrate the rock with a feed rate, that is, the speed the drill sinks into the stone, that matches modern diamond-tipped hydraulic drills. Christopher Dunn, an expert engineer with decades of experience in high-precision manufacturing, went to Egypt. He didn't look at the hieroglyphs. He looked at the tooling marks. He measured the flatness of the surfaces. Do you know what he found? He found surfaces flat to within 1/1000th of an inch. That is the precision of an optical lens, not a tomb built by farmers with rocks. You do not achieve that kind of tolerance by accident. You do not achieve it with rubbing stones and sand. That is a deliberate, engineered feature. Why would a dead pharaoh need a tomb with optical precision? Why would you need air shafts in a sealed burial chamber? Why are there no mummies, no inscriptions, no soot from torches on the ceilings? The silence of the pyramid screams at us. Mainstream archaeologists tell us these are just religious symbols. That is their favorite excuse. When they cannot explain the function of a machine, they call it a temple. When they cannot explain the technology, they call it magic. But what if the Great Pyramid isn't a tomb at all? What if it is a machine? A utilitarian device left behind by a civilization that vanished before history began. The evidence is there. You just have to be willing to see it. But there is a reason you haven't heard this in school. There is a reason why specific doors remain sealed. There is a man, a very powerful man, who has spent his entire career making sure you don't ask these questions. The man is Dr. Zahi Hawass. For decades, he has been the face of Egyptology, the man in the fedora, the self-proclaimed guardian of the sands. But is he a guardian?
Or a gatekeeper? You see, in science, when you find an anomaly, you investigate it. You tear it apart until you understand it. In Egypt, under Hawass, when you find an anomaly, the permit is revoked, the excavation is closed, the camera crews are sent home. Let's look at the evidence. In 1993, a German engineer named Rudolf Gantenbrink sent a small robot up the southern shaft of the Queen's Chamber. These shafts are tiny, about 20 centimeters square. Mainstream historians said they were just ventilation for a dead soul. But Gantenbrink found something that shouldn't be there. He didn't find a dead end. He found a door. A limestone slab, perfectly fitted, blocking the way. And on that door were 2 copper handles. Stop and think. Copper handles in a ventilation shaft? In a tomb? No. You put handles on something you intend to move. You put metal fittings on a machine. This wasn't religious symbolism. This was functional. The world held its breath. What was behind the door? A secret chamber? Ancient records? The Hall of Records itself? We never found out. The moment this discovery went public, Gantenbrink was out. The exploration was halted. It took 9 years of silence before another robot went up there in 2002. They drilled a small hole. They put a camera through. And what did they see? Another door. And then, nothing. Since 2002, that second door has remained sealed. No one is allowed back. Why? If there is nothing to hide, why stop? If it's just a pile of rocks, why the secrecy? Before we descend deeper into the void, I need to ask you something. The algorithm hates this kind of content. It prefers the safe, official story. If you want to support real investigation, if you want us to keep asking the questions that make historians uncomfortable, hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video. It tells the system that you are still awake. The suppression didn't stop in 2002. In 2017, the Scan Pyramids project used muon radiography, cosmic ray scanning, to X-ray the Great Pyramid. It's hard science. You can't fake it. The scan revealed a massive void, a cavity at least 30 meters long located right above the Grand Gallery. It is huge. It is undeniable. A hidden chamber that has been sealed since the moment the last block was placed. It has no door, no entrance we can see. It is a time capsule waiting for us. The scientific community was electrified. This was the discovery of the century. But how did the Ministry of Antiquities respond? How did Hawass respond? Did they rush to explore it? Did they send in micro-drones? No. They dismissed it. They called it a construction gap. They said it was nothing. They actively discouraged further talk about it. Ask yourself, why would you ignore a massive hidden chamber in the most important monument on Earth? Unless you were afraid of what is inside. Unless you already know what is inside. Because if that chamber contains something that contradicts the timeline, something that proves Khufu didn't build this, or that the technology used was far more advanced than copper chisels, then the entire history book has to be rewritten. And careers, reputations, entire academic empires would crumble overnight. They are not protecting the pyramid from us. They are protecting their version of history from the truth. But the pyramid isn't the only witness to the crime. There is another monument on the plateau, older, more weathered, and it tells a story of a catastrophe that wiped out an entire chapter of human existence. We need to talk about the Sphinx, and we need to talk about water. Look at the Sphinx. Really look at it. Mainstream history tells us it was carved by Pharaoh Khafre around 2500 BC. They say the face is his. They say the body is a lion. But geologists tell a different story.
And unlike historians, rocks do not lie. In the early 1990s, John Anthony West, a rogue scholar, brought a geologist named Dr. Robert Schoch to the Giza Plateau. Schoch wasn't looking for mummies. He was looking at the erosion patterns on the Sphinx's enclosure walls. What he saw terrified the academic world. He found deep, vertical fissures in the limestone, rolling, undulating waves of erosion. Any geologist will tell you exactly what causes that. It isn't wind. It isn't sand. Wind erosion is horizontal. It scrapes. It doesn't carve deep, vertical channels. The only force of nature that can do that is water. Massive amounts of rainfall. Torrential downpours lasting for centuries. Here is the problem. The Sahara has been a bone-dry desert for the last 5,000 years. The last time rain fell in those quantities on the Giza Plateau was at the end of the last ice age. We are talking about 10,000 to 12,000 years ago. Do you understand what that means? It means the Sphinx was already there when the rain fell. It means the Sphinx is thousands of years older than the dynastic Egyptians. It means it was sitting there, weathering under the storm clouds, while our history books say humans were still hunter-gatherers. When Schoch presented this data, the geologists agreed with him. The evidence was irrefutable. But the Egyptologists? They panicked. They didn't have a geological argument. They just said, it's impossible. Why is it impossible? Because if the Sphinx is 12,000 years old, then the entire timeline of human civilization is wrong. It implies that before the desert, there was a culture sophisticated enough to carve a monolith on an industrial scale. John Anthony West called it the smoking gun. He suggested that the Sphinx wasn't built by the Egyptians we know. He suggested they found it. They found a ruined ancient monument from a forgotten time, and they restored it. They recarved the head, which is why the head is so disproportionately small compared to the body. It was a renovation project, not a construction project. And this leads us to the most dangerous idea of all. Graham Hancock calls it a species with amnesia. What if the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx are not the beginning of our civilization, but the end of someone else's? Think about the precision we talked about earlier, the granite blocks, the alignment with true north, the drilling. These aren't the fumbling attempts of a society just learning how to stack rocks. This is the peak of a technological capability we can barely match today. Mainstream scholars want you to believe that the Egyptians went from mud huts to the Great Pyramid in a few generations, that they mastered engineering, astronomy, and geology overnight. It doesn't make sense. Evolution is gradual. Technology is cumulative. Unless they didn't invent it. Unless they inherited it. The legacy of a lost civilization. A civilization that was destroyed by the very cataclysm that ended the Ice Age. The Egyptians were the survivors. They were the ones who kept the flame alive. But there are people who want to blow that flame out. There is a moment caught on camera that tells you everything you need to know. It was a debate between Graham Hancock and Zahi Hawass. Before a single word was exchanged about the evidence, Hawass saw a slide of Robert Bauval's Orion correlation theory, and he exploded. He didn't argue the data. He didn't present counter-evidence. He shouted, "I closed it. I am the one who closes the door." He walked out of the room. That is not the behavior of a scientist. That is the behavior of a man protecting a dogma. Why the anger? Why the fear? Because underneath the Sphinx, legends say there is a hall of records, an archive of the civilization that came before. The Atlanteans, the builders, whatever name you want to give them. Seismic scans have shown anomalies under the Sphinx's paws, cavities, chambers, just like the void in the Great Pyramid. They are there. We know they are there, but we are forbidden from looking. Imagine for a second if they opened those chambers. Imagine if they found a library not of papyrus, but of metal or crystal or technology we don't understand. It would destroy the narrative of the modern world. It would mean we are not the pinnacle of evolution. It would mean we are a civilization living in the ruins of giants, trying to convince ourselves that we built the skyscrapers. The gatekeepers think they are protecting us. They think the world isn't ready for the truth. They think that if they admit the timeline is wrong, chaos will follow. But they are wrong. We are ready. The internet has changed the game. We are sharing the data. We are looking at the 3D scans. We are reading the erosion reports. We are connecting the dots that they tried to erase. The Great Pyramid is not a tomb. It is a message written in stone so heavy no flood could wash it away. A message that says, we were here, we were great, and you can be too. They can lock the gates, they can ban the cameras, they can revoke the permits, but they cannot hide a mountain. And they cannot stop the human mind from asking, why? The truth is not buried in the sand anymore. It is right in front of our eyes. We just have to open them. If you believe that history belongs to all of us, if you refuse to accept the official story without question, then you are part of this investigation. We are going to keep digging. We are going to keep asking the hard questions. Do me a favor. Click that like button right now. It helps this message bypass the algorithm's gatekeepers. And make sure you are subscribed. Turn on the notification bell.
Because when the next discovery breaks, and it will break, you need to be the first to know. This isn't just about Egypt. It's about who we are. It's about where we came from. And most importantly, where we are going. Thank you for watching. Keep your eyes open. And until next time, question everything.